counting calories, and for some of you, you might want to do that. I usually don't recommend people do that, and that's actually on the handout for tonight. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Fat is always going to tally higher than protein or carbohydrate just by its nature as a substance, like a molecular substance. It has a higher calorie ratio than protein or carbs. That being said, the way that your biochemical machine works, it will process carbohydrates into fat on your body faster than it will process fat into fat on your body. Does that make sense? It's confusing. It'd be nice if it was just like what it goes in makes sense about what the output is in that way, but it's just not the way we're built. And we'll kind of go into some human ancestral biology tonight. Hi. Okay. I'm really all the time. So whenever you're counting calories, just keep that in mind. And what I put on there is at least 1,500 calories a day. This will kind of we'll get more in depth next class when we talk about metabolism. But how you need to think about your metabolism, here's a teaser, is it's like a pilot light on your stove. So you have to have enough gas to keep that pilot light on, and that's 1,500 calories a day. Now, if you pour too much on it, you overeat all the time, if you're eating too many calories, it'll go out, unless you're a Western 100 marathon runner. But you have to have enough calories to keep that pilot light on. Fat will keep that pilot light on. Carbs, if you think about it, here's another analogy. Carbs are like the kindling for a fire, and fat is like a log that keeps the fire burning for a long time. Your body will translate carbohydrates into fat if you eat too many. So just keep those little things in mind when you're calculating calories. It is, Joey and I were just talking about this, it's good to know how many calories you're eating. If I told you the amount of calories I eat per day, you'd throw me out of here. But you have to give fat a little bit. So I'd rather eat more calories, a little bit more, and eat fat as opposed to eat less calories as carbohydrates. And that's just biochemistry, which we can get into those chains a little bit, what that means.
So is some carbohydrates
Sure.
good?
Yes, some carbohydrates are fantastic. I go a little extreme when I do your recipes for the week or when I do recommendations because people will usually overeat carbohydrates in their life. If left to their own devices, a human will eat fat and carbs because it's what makes us fat. In the way that we came about to stand on two legs and get here today through evolution, we needed fat and carbs. If we could ever find them, we ate them. It was rare, but now they're everywhere. So
why is it that you feel that carbs is all that will fill you up? Is it just because that's what you're used to? That's what you like to eat?
I mean, they are filling for a time. So imagine I think most of us have had this experience. You eat oatmeal for breakfast, and you're like, for like an hour or an hour and a half, and then you're like starving. Have you ever had that experience? Fat and protein, which is really what I want to, get into your brains is protein, will keep you going for longer. Like the log on the fire will keep that fire going for a long time, and a carb will just kind of burn up. So initially you might feel a little like, ooh, I'm fuller than I would be with a fat and protein-rich meal. But long term, it's not going to keep you going. And we'll talk about that tonight. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. It's just more of a short-term fullness. And for some people, that fullness is bloating that comes from carbohydrates, feeding a bad bacteria in the gut. And we equate that bloat with full. Is that, I don't want to create the glaze. You guys too early. Let me ask you this. Is there anything that you're like, I wish you would give us this, or I wish you would talk about this, or I wish that she'd send out an email about this? Is there anything like that that you all feel like isn't covered, that we're not hitting? If there is, you can shoot me an email or you can call me, whatever, and we'll try and get it to you guys. I know this is a little bit of a different kind of nutrition program. It's not like, a low-fat, counting calories type thing, but my goal is that you all won't be part of the statistics range from 75 to 95% of the population that go on a diet and then 2 months later they gain all the weight back. That's what I'm trying to keep from happening, is to teach you a different way of thinking and eating. So you're not in that statistic.
So tell us what carbs we should be eating. So would that be like maybe whole grains, like oatmeal?
Sure,
Like
oatmeal.
a little bit of oatmeal with some protein and fat would be fine.
Exactly. Sweet potatoes are excellent. Actually, this week, I sent you out that dessert recipe, you know, because every once in a while you're going to eat a dessert, right? I don't expect you just to never eat a dessert again. It's not an everyday kind of a thing, but if you make a dessert, that dessert I sent out was protein and fat-rich, whole foods, no complex carbohydrates or sugars. Awesome. So that's what I want you to stick with. Sweet potatoes are better than white potatoes. Weird, because they're sweet, but they metabolize a little bit more slowly than sweet potatoes, so you don't get such an insulin spike. We're going to talk about all this tonight. So you go whole fat on your body. All carbohydrates are vegetables or carbs. So leafy green veggies, amazing. Sweet potatoes, oats, rice, whole grains. You know, I'd rather you pick rice than crackers. You know what I'm saying? Whole. And there is even more detail into whole grains if you guys want to go there. We don't have to. It's a good step just to go from, if you're eating a processed cracker or a processed carbohydrate or like a scone in the morning, it's better to make a bowl of oatmeal. It's a really good step to take with lots of walnuts and butter and grapey maple syrup and raisins, like that. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, so tonight, there's two things I want to share with you before we really get cooking on what our main thing is we're going to talk about. Accidentally overweight. Did any of you just like need to gain a lot of weight? Just couldn't wait to gain the weight. This is a doctor in New Zealand, Dr. Libby Weaver. This book, I'm going to start buying copies and just giving them to clients. It's fantastic. Fantastic. She is my kind of gal. And she is getting people to lose weight. And actually before I came, I was reviewing her chapter on stress overstimulation with weight gain, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. And she was talking about this one patient that she saw, and she lost, like, you know, she's in kilos because she's in New Zealand, but she lost like 4 kilos in 4 weeks, like a kilo a week, you know? She just cut out coffee. That's all she did. You know, and she kind of gives some testimony in this book to how you can change your body and lose some weight pretty fast just by cutting out some things that are really stimulating. Which I saw your post this morning on Facebook, and I was like, oh God, he's gonna kill me.
Never mind.
What was it? You gotta tell us now.
No coffee on Monday morning.
Yeah, you were like, this is a disaster. I'm not saying never have coffee, but I've been a brevet-aholic. You know who you are. BioCult is the probiotic that I recommend for people. Any probiotic I recommend for people, and this harkens back to our class last week with turning your belly into a fat burner. This will do it. Most of us have some type of bacterial imbalance in our guts. You've heard candida. That's kind of the buzzword for bacterial overgrowth. It can be anything. It can be Pseudomonas. It can be Clostridium. There's more bacteria than modern science knows about. So one thing that I kind of across the board tell clients to get is a probiotic. Awesome. And this is at my office. I order it from a doc I studied with in the UK.
Is it a tea? What is it?
It's a pill.
It's a pill.
It's a pill! It's so easy. I love pills. If I can get a pill, I'm going to take a pill rather than have to make some big production out of taking stuff. But yeah, it's a pill. And I just read a study a few days ago about how if your bacterial balance is off in your gut, they did this huge trial of people over 5 years, their increase of obesity just went up, 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 up. So this really relates to us.
Do you take it every day?
Yes, I take it every day. It also is the same as the fermented foods that I recommended. Those are probiotic foods. Kombucha, if you like that. I have a really good kombucha I brought tonight that I'm going to show you guys. It's cheaper than beer. It's expensive, but it's cheaper than beer. So those foods are a good source of that probiotic. Miso, non-soy miso, chickpea or brown rice miso. That's a good source of probiotic.
In the past, I've had trouble with probiotic pills. They just make me really nauseous all the time.
There are so many different ones, and we should talk after. That is a common reaction. If anybody has that question, let's talk after. And I'm totally happy to explain to you why commonly that's happening. Okay? It's a good question. So there's different, she said, should you take probiotics with food? The newest research shows that you should. A year ago, they said don't take it with food. So I was telling everybody don't take it with food. I'm about to go back to school to become a biochemical researcher because it changes. They get new research, which is cool too, you know, we get better information. Now they say yes, take it with food, it's going to do better. If it changes now, I don't know. So who here has kids? Is it going, like, is it pretty easy? Is it stressful a little bit to raise your kids and get them out the door in the morning and like that? Or who has a job? You're 0 for 2 right now. So wherever the stress is in your life, that's what I want to address tonight. I think of stress in food terms because I think of everything in food terms. I always have on my nutritionist glasses. I'd like to take them off sometimes, but they're always there. So when I think of stressors in the food world, you could probably guess what I think of. I think of sugar. I think of foods that people are commonly allergic to as stressors. But I also do think fast food, sometimes I'm working with people to the mind. You know, we're stressed out about our money, or our kids, or our job, or our husband that won't do the dishes, or put his clothes in the laundry basket, or whatever is going on. It creates, eventually, weight gain in the body. So we need to talk about that. So one of the very first things I have up here is sleep in. After tonight, you guys are going to love me. All the weird food, not so much, but this is like the tops right here. If you can ever sleep in, who has a problem sleeping in? Okay, like you're up and then you're like up. Yep. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. If you can sleep in because of work or your own biology getting you up, sleeping in helps you lose weight more than anything. There's actually a diet they have going right now. I think it's called the overnight diet. I read about it today. This woman, I think she's at Boston Medical Center. She's telling people this certain protocol and then to sleep at least 8 hours a night and see what happens after 8 days. High protein diet, lots of sleep. There's a reason why sleeping in helps you, or sleeping at least 8 hours a night, preferably going to bed before 12. You know how your mom was like an hour worth of sleep before midnight is worth more than 2 hours after midnight? Did you guys ever hear that? My mom used to tell me that all the time when I was in college. It's true. Your metabolic rate and your ability to lose weight comes a lot from the rest that you get. So that's what we're going to address tonight. Who here gets up in the morning and they have a cup of coffee and usually a pastry of some type or something sweet, like a sweet breakfast cereal, Special K, or a scone, or a cinnamon roll? That's a habit for, I won't point you up a bit, I see you. That's a habit, a really common habit for a lot of us. Even coffee in the morning, I'm sorry to say, it's in the same realm as sugar, where when you get up first thing in the morning, if you're not already amped up, like the people who can't sleep in, you're drinking and eating this amping food. And so what happens is your blood sugar starts to go up. And some people can feel it. They get up in the morning and their brain is just like, and it's doing the brain thing where it's like, okay, I have to do this, and I have to be home by 8, and I have to wash the clothes, blah, 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 blah. That, coffee, sugar, all of those things, the blood sugar, it starts to peak up. I wish, can I use this board back here? Can I erase anything? Is there a
pen right on the cubbies.
This is great. I didn't expect this. So your blood sugar should ideally always be hovering around 89 milligrams per deciliter. You guys, you know, like diabetic ranges, people get